This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? Welcome back, man.
Man, let me tell you, I am glad to be back, bro. Tampa was hot. I mean, it was booty sweating hot, brother. I mean, that stadium had some funk to it, and I don't mean just by the scoreboard. I'm talking armpits and everything else, brother. It was funky,
Did you have the chain on? I mean, obviously you gotta have a chain on, but that's gotta be
brother.
some
Come
heat,
on
man.
now. No, the chain didn't bring me any heat.
But I mean,
It
it's
was.
sitting on top of your chest, right? I mean, it's just the sun beating down on that thing.
Yeah, well, actually, that gave me a little shade. You know, that shields the sun off of me. It was it's a combination of the humidity and then the amount of people. That's what it is. I mean, and then we got a little reprieve because they were calling for rain, but it never really did rain. It rained around the stadium, so I'm not sure if they got like some type of Invisa shield rain system around the stadium because it didn't rain. It rained around the stadium, and I mean, and you could tell when we were leaving because everything was kind of wet, but for the most part, it was a sweaty day. I did my two questions with the captain with Santana Moss, and I asked him what he would do when he played on these type of days, and he told me that he would electrolytes, Pedialyte, water, fluids, keeping fluids in the system, and then the second question was his best favorite play, and he named on Thanksgiving when he scored two touchdowns. So it was in 2005, I want to say. So it was a great interview. If you haven't seen it, I mean, it's just basically a minute long. I never want to take too much time of these guys' time. So, but it was a great, quick little interview.
Yeah, that's on Rally's Twitter. Still not going to call it X. And those watching, I'll actually cut that into the YouTube channel. So make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, sharing, leaving comments, leaving reviews. That helps all of our efforts in trying to get this thing out there for the masses. So before we get to the game, I started off
Yeah.
my Friday, right? 5 o'clock in the morning, ABC 7. They asked me to come out and do some stuff with
Okay.
them. All
Right.
right, appreciate you guys. I'm not getting there at 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, I don't know anyone that's watching at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure there are people, considering they wouldn't be showing the news at 5 a.m. But I rolled up there at 6:30, and the
Okay.
Commander Lorians were there, Captain Obvious, Pat Maloney, I think he owns Glory Days, and Rev T. So they had,
Okay.
a bunch of Commander super fans there hanging out, just eating,
Y-
and not gonna lie, I had a couple of old fashions, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was a good time.
Okay. I'm not gonna
No,
judge.
no, hey, it's all for TV. And
Yeah.
then I'm leaving and I'm supposed to do breakfast with someone else on 14th Street. So I was at Tapper's Pub down in Chinatown by Cap One. Then I
Okay.
decided to walk because I still had an hour and a half before my breakfast. So I walked from, 6th Street to 14th, out past U Street, right? High fives, man. All these people sitting there because I'm rocking my Commander's gear.
Hmm.
So many people all hyped up, ready to go. Can't wait for the season to start, this and that. I mean, it was awesome. And I preface that by saying, then you fast forward to Saturday at the fan rally. I'm getting text messages from people saying, "Hey, are you here? We're at the rally. There's too many people. We can't find you." I'm getting people sending me videos. Like, what happened, man? What happened on Saturday?
All right. So initially, when I contacted the bar, I said, "Listen, we're going to be having a lot of people here." And initially, my initial thoughts were going to be 300 people. So they said, "Hey, 300 people is great. Uh, we'll do an all call, and we'll order more food. We'll have our top waitresses working. We're going to treat this as if it's our Super Bowl." And I said, "Great." I said, because I'm assuming that amount of people will come, but I just don't know. You just never know. And all of a sudden, I said, "Don't meet me there. beat me there. I got there at the rally's supposed to kick off at 5. I got there at 4:15ish to help try to get set up, everything that you need to get set up for, and people were already there. And so I looked around, and the manager looked at me and says, "Is this what we're going to be up against all evening?" And I said, "I guess so." So 5 o'clock rolls around, start passing out the gifts or the swag that Commanders gave me. Thank you so much, Commanders. I greatly appreciate that because you guys rock. And it was snapped up. We had long lines for the drawing for the Santana Moss jersey. We greatly appreciate that as well. You guys rock. I want to say we gathered I want to say $2,100, if you will, and all those proceeds go to the Red Cross. So I greatly appreciate everyone who entered the drawing and donated. And the next thing you know, I looked around and the room was packed. They had basically 3 areas. They have a patio area, they had a main dining room area, and then they had their party room area. All 3 areas were packed. I mean, packed. And at the end of the night, the manager came to me and said, we had over 900 plus people. And I was amazed.
That's
And
awesome.
everyone said, man, this reminded me of Vegas. You did it again, Rally Captain. And so I felt really good. I was overwhelmed, man. I felt really, really good about it.
I mean, the fact that you had that many people there, that you raised over $2,000 for the Red Cross, and I mean, just Burgundy Gold represent, and it wasn't just old school Redskins fans. I saw Commanders gear in the videos. I mean, you guys were doing some line dances. You had the DJ out there. That's just badass, man. And hat tip to you for being able to pull that off. And all I heard was people bitching and moaning. Oh, it's going to be in Clearwater. It's going to be out here and there. Well, hats off to everyone else that said, you know what, screw it. We're going to beat you there. And they showed up and they represented. I mean, the video that I just tweeted myself had over 15,000 views, let alone
Wow.
like all the stuff that you sent out there. And I, know that it got word back to the team. And I didn't know that they were sending out gear. So when I saw one of the videos you posted, I saw like a line of swag that people could grab.
Yeah.
Were you limiting it so they can only get one thing, or people just grabbing everything like it was Halloween?
No, because once I saw the amount of people, I said, okay, one person, one item per person. I mean, that's only fair. A
Yeah.
lot of
Oh yeah.
people they want to say, well, my girlfriend is sitting there and I want to get some. She's got to be in line with you as well.
Yeah. Tell her
I
I should
mean,
get up.
unfortunately, that's just, or fortunately, I mean, that's just how it is. And we still ran out. So I still have people asking me, hey, if you got any extra towels or you got any extra this, can you mail it to me? And so I'm gonna do that if and when I get my hands on it, because some people don't live in this area. You know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
well, the deal. They don't live in
Oh,
this
it's
area,
tough.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
I get a
And
bunch of
so,
Commanders fans from Canada and from
mhm,
London that reach out because what they can buy on Fanatics is different than what we buy. So they can't get
it's
some of the
true.
same gear that we get. So they ask me, hey, can you buy this and then just ship it to us? And sad to say, that's the only way they can get some of the swag that we get. And it sucks. I feel bad for them, but it is what it is when they live out that way. But I mean, so did the team send this to Tampa for you, or did you bring it down on a plane?
I brought it down on a plane. I packed a second suitcase. Yeah, and if you know me, I hate to check bags. I'm a carry-on guy. I pack enough stuff just to carry on and get off and get on. But I had so much stuff to where I had to check a bag, and you know, it gave me a couple extra minutes to actually talk to Commanders fans that were in the airport in Tampa, waiting for their bags as well. I mean, it was a true burgundy and gold takeover in Tampa, and I enjoyed it. I really, really did. And we're looking at the next rally, which will be in Arizona. I won't be doing one in Cincinnati, and I don't know if anyone has stepped up to do it in Cincinnati, but I know that I won't be able to do one in Cincinnati. And the next one that we're planning on is for Arizona. The information will be out shortly. I've got to talk to a couple more people to see the direction that we want to go in. But Arizona, they're on the clock.
Nice, man. That'll be a good time. I know a lot of Burgundy and Gold fans represent when they get out to Arizona. So it's a dry heat, so it won't be as bad as in Tampa. But
Yeah.
I'm kidding. How was the tailgate? What'd you end up doing?
I wound up going to What the Buck, and the food was spectacular. I had a full chicken sandwich, if you will, with coleslaw on top of it and some baked beans, and I had some watermelon type of drink, alcoholic beverage. I don't know what it was. I should have taken a picture of it, but let me tell you, it was just so hot trying to get around. I wound up getting my food and walking back out of the whole covered tented area, if you will, and just on the street because the breeze was blowing. I found a nice shade tree and just stayed on the sidewalk and was just eating my food with the breeze blowing right there because inside of that area, which is a nice area, it's just so hot with all the people. I imagine probably in October, November, it's probably one of the best places ever. But
Yeah.
that
And
Sunday,
those guys are
yeah,
family to me.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
I got a bunch of people give me a hard time. It's like, why didn't you come down to Tampa? And it's just, I've been to Tampa. The in-laws are from Tampa. I go to every game in Tampa. And I just, not gonna lie, man, I did not want to. A, when I looked, it was too expensive. B, it was 100 degrees. They kept showing on TV it was 100 degrees on the field. I wasn't trying to deal with that Tampa heat. And
Yeah,
I also didn't want to be there and drop all that loot for that ass whooping that I know was coming. And it just did not sound appealing to me. But to be there for Jayden's first game, I completely get it. 1,000%. I mean,
yeah.
just to be able to witness that with all of our fans, and maybe you guys are better than I am. But speaking of being packed, that tailgate had the fire marshal get called on them because they were over capacity for an outdoor tailgate because the burgundy and gold apparently rolled on through. And I appreciate you guys doing that because all of the donations go straight to charity too for tickets for their tailgate. I want to say it's $40, all you can eat, all you can drink. And the guy that runs that tailgate, food wise, owns Wicked Oak Barbecue. He actually helped me out with a memorial service for a close family friend out there in Tampa. Guy makes some good stuff and has a restaurant in downtown Tampa. So I'm jealous you got a chance to eat that because I had frozen pizza at the house because by the time we got back, I didn't get a chance to order anything. So you definitely wined and dined a lot better than I did.
Yeah, didn't have an opportunity to get a victory steak, but it's coming. It's coming.
We got to think of another way to get you that steak after a loss, man. It's just after seeing what I
No,
saw this Sunday, there might not be too many victory steaks. I don't know,
that's why
but
you cherish it. You cherish that victory steak, and I will only get it after a dub. If it's an L, hey, I'll go to Burger King and get a fish sandwich. But
not
yeah,
Burger King.
I'm just playing. But I'll go somewhere and get something else. But for the most part, man, you treat yourself with the win to get that victory steak. So, man, I got to tell you, I so many people showed so much love at the rally, at the tailgate, at the actual game. It was a lot of love, man. And I want to thank all of our listeners who came up to me and said, "Hey, thank you," because it means a lot. It really, really does. And so, we can do this, but I always say that it's nothing without you guys, and I really do mean that. I really do.
Yeah, man, it makes the hard work. I mean, you bringing suitcases down there full of gear, setting stuff up, organizing things behind the scenes with people at Mugs and the other bars you're going to be at. It makes it worthwhile when someone just says thank you, says,
Yeah,
appreciate it. And something as little as that. And you're also doing it for a good cause, raising money for the Red Cross and this and that. And that it's our first home game this week. I'm not gonna lie, I got a lot of work to do before Sunday. We're already at capacity for the tailgate, and it's only Monday.
wow.
So I know we're gonna be swamped this weekend and just trying to get stuff ready. But seeing everyone there, usually around 11 o'clock, I get a chance to like sit back and take a 10, 15-minute break before I got to
Mm-hmm.
start packing stuff up. And it makes it worthwhile just seeing everyone have a good time and seeing the videos of all the, burgundy and gold fans just dancing and hooting and hollering and just having a blast.
Yeah,
The hard work doesn't feel like work at that point.
you're right. And I totally agree with you because, after it was said and done, I didn't eat. I thought I would have enough time to try to grab something, but I didn't eat until after the rally. And this was probably maybe 8:15-ish, because people still stayed. We had thought that B Mitch and Santana was going to be able to come by. Initially, they said they were going to come by, but I guess their taping ran longer than expected, so they couldn't make it out. Which it happens, and so I got on the mic and I told everybody, "Hey, look, if you're waiting for this, please don't wait any longer, because we just got word that their taping is running over." So, but people stayed and continued to patronize the bar, and that's when I was able to get my meal in, and I needed it, bro. I didn't realize how drained I was. I didn't
At
realize
least you
how
were
drained I
inside the air
was.
condition.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, see, that's the other thing. Their it was so crowded that their air conditioner was working triple time, bro, and it still couldn't cool the place down. I mean, finally, after people started dissipating, it started to cool things off. But it was but it was a good time, man.
yeah,
And it was so you got all these Twitter bots, all right, who I said, hey, it's hard to believe that we got 900 people, and they said, well, where are the other 800 people? Because they only saw the one room
yeah.
that I. And so where are the other 600 people at? I mean, come, it's like, dude, come on, if you were here, you would have saw it, and so I try to just pay them no mind, but just for context, I'm saying that because you got these people who talk mad trash behind the keyboard or behind their screen,
I just
but
mute them, man.
yeah.
I ain't got no time. It's like I put some, I was trying to make a positive out of us getting our ass kicked this week, right?
Uh-huh.
And to me, and fast forwarding a little bit, the positive is it's one game, and we got the
Yeah.
Giants next,
Yeah.
and we got a chance to go 1-1.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 30 replies back to that one tweet was the Giants are going to kick our ass. They always kick our ass. Daniel Jones always kicks our ass. I'm like, I don't got time for you guys. Like, yes, if you want to just sit there and live in the past, fine. And no, they're not stating anything wrong, but that's not the point. The point is
No.
it's one game. We're
Yeah.
0-1 right now, right? And realistically, if you thought that you were going to see a RG3 versus New Orleans Saints rookie debut at a Jayden, then other than that, I don't see why anyone else would be surprised at what they saw. Unless you were expecting us to make the playoffs this year and go on a run. And I don't know why any right-minded fan would think that, considering 2/3 of this roster is brand new. This entire coaching staff is new. The questions we had going into the offseason, going into preseason with the secondary, were all still there. Going up against a very talented Buccaneers team. And everything we were worried about and everything we talked about in our preview pod, we were warranted to be worried about. I feel horrible, but I had a 5-leg parlay because I took Mike Evans, I took Chris Godwin to hit their stats, a Mike Evans touchdown, the over, and then the Bucs giving up how many points? I mean, but hey, that's going to pay for my stake whenever we do get that victory, and it'll be okay. But I don't get what some fans are just freaking out about right now. I mean, how was it during the game? I know you probably haven't had a chance to actually watch it back yet. So the first play from scrimmage, from Jayden's actual play, was a freaking lateral that went backwards, and he
Yeah.
lost what, 15 yards? I mean, what
15
were you thinking
yards.
at that point?
I said, okay, Jayden, calm down. Calm down, bro. I mean, because uh, I don't care how many highlights we see of that deep ball to De'Ami Brown or whatever have you. That's in a sense, practice. It's preseason, but it's practice. This was a real game, and hey, it's almost like, hey man, go over there and throw up and get the nerves out because that's what it showed. Um, but I didn't let that get me down because at that point, I mean, it was just the first play of the game. But I just wanted him to gather himself, and so what they tried to do is they tried to give him some quick, easy passes to gather himself, and some of it just didn't work. Uh, but the atmosphere in the stadium, it was probably 50-50 or 60 or 55-45. Obviously, Bucks fans, but the Commanders, we were there. And what bothered me is I'm not a really big cusser. You know, you may hear a cuss word out of me every once in a while, but I'm not really a big cusser. And there were Commanders fans who were cussing because they were pissed and they were saying, "Oh, screw the whole team." You know, it's almost like uh, doom and gloom, and you guys are bums, and I'm like, how can you say that? But finally, I just said, you know what, Cap, keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, it's
Just,
not worth it.
yeah, you enjoy your game. Don't let them talk, you know, talk you into doing something foolish, or whatever have you, because I see things differently, and I'm not going to go into the doom and gloom. I'm just not. That's never been me. I never will be me. And I'm gonna call it like I see it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did Fox 5 this morning with my man Easy Street
Okay.
and Steve Shenevy,
Hmm.
right? And after that, Easy wanted to do a Instagram live, so I joined him for that. And I'm talking to Easy on Instagram on my cell phone, and I'm seeing all these comments come in while he and I are going back and forth talking about the game, and just the amount of negativity after one game,
Yeah.
just from some in this fan base, really surprises me. And I don't understand where, like, oh, fire Dan Quinn, he's garbage. Adam Peters doesn't know what he's doing. He's an idiot. And just all this stuff after 1 week. I don't know what these people were expecting. I don't, I don't care either,
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's part of our fan base, right? They're our brothers and sisters.
They are.
So they represent us out there in the wild. So their voices are heard when it comes to, people reading tweets and clips and hearing about what the fans think about this team. And you and I talked about what is going to make this season a success. And for some fans, and they have every right, the season is a success if we win a Super Bowl. And that's it for them. Nothing else matters,
Mm.
right? Regardless of, this is our 8th straight season of starting a different quarterback from the year prior, right? None of these fans care about that or even look into that, right? The fact that this is Jayden Daniels' first time actually stepping on the grass where it counts and actually being there with a left tackle and Brandon Coleman, who hadn't actually played before. We were rotating left tackles, right? Do you really think a team that's rotating left tackles is actually going to have a damn good shot of doing something against this Bucs defense?
I didn't see that at all. See, you missed that being live versus
Yeah.
in being at home. So I missed that at all. You really couldn't see what was going on, but I did see them benching Manny Forbes, whether it be to injury or whatever, lack of performance. Uh, I saw that. That was a
Some
huge
people
notice.
say, yeah, some are saying it's injury. He did go in for x-rays. X-rays were negative.
Mm.
I'm looking at the PFF grades. Emmanuel Forbes was dead last in his pass coverage. He got a 30 overall in coverage. And the guy that came in for Emmanuel Forbes, and I'm going to butcher his name, Noah Igbenogany, got an 81.1, got the highest grade
Hmm.
for our secondary in pass coverage, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be a matter of time before Forbes isn't on this roster. And I go back to what I was talking with Easy Street on, and Easy was saying, why don't we just cut his ass? Like, and that's
First
just
round,
fans talking, right?
first round pick. Yeah.
You cannot cut a first round pick from last season, right?
Yeah.
We are paying for the sins of Ron Rivera right now. We're going to be paying for his sins for a couple of years because he has his fingerprints all over this roster and, frankly, the team name. because I still blame him for the fact that we are the Commanders, but it is what it is, right? And cue Craig Melvin. But you can't just cut Emmanuel Forbes. You still need 53 people on a roster. So to me, this season for Adam Peters is about evaluation. Evaluating, is Jamin Davis actually worth keeping around here, right? Jamin actually had a 78.8 grade. He had several plays where he made his presence felt, man. And I was kind of shocked. But, Emmanuel Forbes obviously had some he got 2 penalties on one play, a pass interference and a face mask that they tacked on top of it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's just, but really, this is an evaluation year. And I wish that they never would have used the word recalibrate, because I think that gave false hope to some in this fan base.
Yeah.
Let's just call a spade a spade. We are rebuilding. Plain and simple.
The other thing that people really have to look at is, and some people will agree, some people will disagree. This is just a rally captain's take. I'm a firm believer of, you've got all these new guys, you got to play them all the time. This technically was a preseason game that counted, unfortunately. That's what this was. This truly, because everyone played Sunday. There was no one out of the starting crew who sat out like for a preseason game. And to go back to what you said, they all played together and they rotated out. So now you have what I was telling everyone is, they have created a true baseline, something that they didn't get in preseason because no one played. And the less you play, the less of a baseline that you will have. Well, now you have a true baseline, and they're going to be going back, clicking that clicker and saying, okay, I see our deficiency here. I see our deficiency there. Okay, we can step up over there. This is what it's all about. And I also said that, how many people out there put together jigsaw puzzles? When you've got a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, you don't know what you got. You got to slowly start putting it together, and that's what we're doing right now. We're putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and sometimes they don't come together so fast. They just don't. So it takes time, and I know our fans want that microwave. They want that 30 seconds and done, because they're ready to eat. I want it too, but as we said early on, temper your expectations. You have to temper them. I'm going to say probably game 4, game 5, we will truly be able to see where we are as a team, as a unit. These guys haven't played together. They just haven't. A key play, it was a pick play right in my end zone, where one guy I think was a, and I don't know their name, so forgive me. I don't have a sheet in front of me. One guy is a true rook. The other guy, I think he played last year with us. It was a pick play, and I saw it, and the guy scored the touchdown right in my end zone. And I said, that comes from not playing together, not being able to understand what each other needs to do. It's going to take time. Do you as a fan, not you, Ted, but do you as a fan, our listener base, are you willing to give him that time, or are you ready to go ahead and start burning jerseys? That's my question. And that's a realistic question. Are you ready to burn jerseys already, or are you going to give him time? What happened to, JD5? He's a rookie, but hey, we trust JD5. Are you done with that already? You've got 16 more times to do it. It's going to happen.
And that's the thing, is you've got, I don't want to beat a dead horse. It just makes no sense to me, right? Maybe people just believe the hype that EB from the Junkies saying, like, oh, they're the Buccaneers. Like, you guys, maybe you didn't watch Bucs games last year, and sometimes I get stuck watching them because it's the wife's other team. But They kicked the Eagles' ass 32-9, right? They made the
Yeah.
divisional round of the playoffs. They won their division. And granted, it's not the best division, but they won their division. When's the last time we could say that? Right? Baker Mayfield won a Heisman Trophy. Mike Evans is going to the Hall of Fame first ballot. Right?
Oh, yeah.
What made anybody think that this was going to be easy? And it definitely wasn't. And to me, you hit the nail on the head, right? These guys did not play. They did not practice against true talent. And when I say practice, I mean, okay, yeah, they went up against the Dolphins and the Jets in joint practice, but it doesn't count, right? Deron Payne did not play in preseason. His grade in PFF for tackling, 26.3. Sorry, there's a correlation there, right? John Allen did not play in preseason. His grade in tackling, 28.3, right? Bobby Wagner, freaking tackling machine, led the NFL in tackling the past how many seasons? His tackling grade, 48.2, did not play in preseason, right? You can't tell me that when the reps are live, all of a sudden you can just turn it on and off like that. And this is what Dan
Bingo.
Quinn had to say about that.
The guys didn't play a lot of the starters in the preseason to some degree. Is this a little bit the result of all that?
Yeah, fair question, but I honestly thought the preparation was really good. And so going into it, I was expecting us to really, see us hit our marks and going. I just didn't feel the energy, the hitting and the tackling that I was accustomed to seeing. And so that's the part to make sure that identity is what we're looking for. If that comes to life, then everything else can connect. But for instance, pass rushing in concert and working together, those things take some reps together in the games, and I certainly expect that to improve.
You can't take reps when your guys are sitting on the sidelines in preseason.
No.
Right? And you talk about it a lot. You're not going 100% against your brother, right? Dan Quinn said it's like a sparring match when you're playing in practice against your brothers, right? You're not putting in 100% of your power. And to me, it was obvious that that's what was going on, because from a pass rush perspective and NFL, have you ever looked at the All 22 on NFL Plus?
No, I have not.
So as a season ticket holder, you get it at a discount. We used to get it for free. Those of you that have it, it's freaking badass now. They changed it 100%. You can put in different characteristics. So you can say every Baker Mayfield incompletion where he was pressured. You can put all these different things inside there and it spits out all those plays. So I got a chance to look at every single Baker Mayfield incompletion. You got a chance to look at every single Baker Mayfield rush, just everything you can possibly think of. I went back and looked at the entire game, and you can break down every time Jayden ran the ball, and you can slow-mo and see, was a guy open? Spoiler alert, yeah, there were guys open when he ran that ball and tucked it instead of actually looking downfield. But needless to say, there were plenty of times when you can go through and actually look at this film, and our guys just weren't rushing as one. And that's building that rapport with your brother beside you, and you're not going to get those reps when you're going up against our offensive line out in Ashburn, when you're not going 100%, and let alone not even having full pads on.
Yeah. I think the other thing was it was hot. I don't want to make any excuses, but it really was hot. And if I was hot in the stands, just drinking water and Gatorade, imagine what those guys are going through, going full speed. It was hot, man. So I'm hoping that we have a better showing against the Giants, and we'll get into that in front of our home crowd. It's a little cooler. I think that, as I said, this technically was a fourth preseason game, if you will. So, but it counts. We got to do better. We will do better. But in the meantime, stop calling for everybody's head, because if it was that easy to pick people off and bring them in, they probably would have done it. But they haven't. And I know that there's breaking news that we released our kicker and we brought in a new kicker just that fast. Well, kicker is somebody that's different. Those guys are pretty much on their own. It's hard to bring in a defensive tackle or somebody like that just off the street. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, they brought in what was his face from the practice squad? Let me see if I can find his name. They elevated him, Sheldon Day, a defensive tackle, brought him in from the practice squad, and his tackling, he got a 67.3, did better than John and Duran in their tackling. So I hear you. It's hot in regards to snaps. I mean, John had 40, Duran had 39, right? You had Benjamin St. Juice out there that had 63. Frankie Louvu had 58. I mean, Frankie Louvu's overall grade was a 59.2. Sorry, it's weird seeing a linebacker with number 4. First off, just seeing him out there rocking that, I'm thinking, what's this guy doing out here? But some of these free agents that we brought in, Jeremy Chin, I did not see much from these free agents really that made me say, oh, okay, that's great. I didn't really see anything at all. There was no one on defense that really stood out to me. And I guess rightfully so, because the Bucs put up how many points, and Baker, basically is on his way to being league MVP. Baker looked like freaking Patrick Mahomes this week instead of Patrick Mahomes actually looking like Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was 6 points away from having a perfect QBR. I mean, it was ridiculous what he did against our defense.
Well, I'll say this: when you got him in your grasp, you got to bring him down. I mean, it was almost like he had some freaking grease on him or something. We just couldn't get him down. We had him in the grasp several times, and he squirted right out. So that was kind of disheartening, if you will, because everyone's up, and so, and it happened a lot, at least 4 times.
It was 6 because I went back and I looked at the film and cut it up because the junkies asked for it this morning. It was 6 times they had him in their grasp. And the only time they got a sack was Cleveland Farrell because Bobby Wagner came in a blitz up the middle. But I went back and looked at the sideline view so you can see the entire field versus the TV coverage. It was a coverage sack, 100%. Finally, nobody was open, right? So that's why we actually got there. And looking at the next gen stats, I mean, some of it it's upsetting, right? And it's depressing. And you're right. I cannot judge these guys personally yet, right? No one thought the Bengals were going to lose to the Patriots, right? That's to me the biggest upset this weekend, right? A lot of people picked the Bucs to beat us, right? So, I mean, it's just week 1, right? All of our opponents, like we play the Giants next, they lost. The Bengals, we play them after that, they lost. The Cardinals, we play them after that, they lost.
Yeah.
The Browns, we play them after that, they lost. The Ravens lost after that. The Panthers lost after that, right? Our next how many opponents are all 0-1, right? Some of them are probably freaking out. You know where they're not freaking out? Cincinnati, they're not freaking out, right? Cleveland, they're probably freaking out in Cleveland. Baltimore, they're not freaking out, right? And I'm not saying we shouldn't be screaming and freaking out here because their expectations are a hell of a lot higher than our real expectations are. Vegas had us at 6.5 wins, right? But let's just be honest with yourself. If you really thought that we were going to make a long ass run at that point, then okay, I feel bad for you. You had us winning this game even before we picked this past week. I mean, during training camp, you had us winning this game, and part of me wanted to change it. I just couldn't do it, but we both have us winning this upcoming week against the Giants. And I truly believe that Dan Quinn is going to do what he needs to do. The problem is the roster is what the roster is, and you can't just gut the entire thing. They gutted 2/3 of it, but we're still stuck with a couple of scrubs that never should have been drafted, but they were. And Emmanuel Forbes and some of these other guys that are here. And really, we're weak at wide receiver. Other than Terry, your other threat is Zach Ertz. And if you guys get a chance, go back and look at it. Ertz was open several times. And on that first bomb to Terry that went out of bounds, I'll put the video in the YouTube. Ertz was wide open in the middle of the field. So this is just living and dying with a rookie quarterback. He's not seeing the entire field yet. And the game is still moving too fast for him. And it should be. This is his first freaking game in the NFL. What do you expect?
Yeah, it will slow down. It really will. I mean, it's no different than anyone doing anything for the first time. They weren't a true natural at it. So you had to work yourself into it. And so give it time. And we all said the same. Will you give him the respect that he needs if he wets the bed? You may not like it, but you gotta give it to him. You have to.
So to me, yes, as long as he does not put himself in harmful situations, and you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but someone needs to tell that young man what a mouthpiece is for, because
And a
he
chin strap.
yeah, that too. He refused to actually use his mouthpiece. He was just biting it on the side like this, didn't actually have it in. So he's
Mm,
running around and scrambling, right? Those mouthpieces help you with concussions when you
yeah,
get hit. If you get hit, and he took a helmet to helmet hit, right? When you get hit, that mouthpiece absorbs the blow. So
right.
it's less shock going to your brain and potential for concussions, right? And he wasn't using it. And maybe that's just me being an old man. I do know that some players rock two mouthpieces. Some it's
Yes.
just because they have one that they actually use and put in their mouth, and other ones it's a nervous tick for them. But if you were at home watching it on TV, he wasn't wearing it. He wasn't using it. He was just biting it on the side of their mouth. If he's going to put himself in harm's way and have these runs, he had maybe two design runs. And speaking of, why the hell are you designing a run for Jayden Daniels when we're down by 20 points and you're making him go inside between the tackle and the guard spot?
Oh, yeah.
This wasn't a Jayden audible. This was a Cliff Kingsbury design run. Like, what the hell are you doing? Right?
Yeah,
His
that
PFF
pissed me
grade
off.
running was a 74. His passing grade was a 36. Right? And we're not going to win games like this. And the fact that he did not slide once, like a true slide, I'm scared he's not going to make it through half the season. Just play.
Mm,
And this isn't RG3 PTSD like we talked about before. This is just
mm.
facts. Seeing his lack of, I guess, caring to protect himself when he's running. He is going to get molly-whopped by somebody, and he ain't going to get back up.
We don't want that, but I mean that is the one of the things that can't happen playing in this NFL league, playing the game. It can't happen. We definitely don't want it. I agree with you. He needs to be able to do better. It looked awkward. It just looked very
It did.
awkward, and I have to tell you, I have to agree with you. It was like a power play where they pulled the guard and tackle, and they wanted him to run in between. And I said, that's not what he's here for. You say he's got an arm, you're down XYZ points, do something different. What they maybe they thought that they were playing so lax to where they're expecting him to pass every play. So maybe they'll catch him off guard with a run. I don't want to see that young man running unless he's scrambling, I really don't.
No, I don't either. It was just frustrating to see. And from a play calling perspective, we were down by 13. We were still in that game, right? Tampa scored on all three of their drives, right? But
Hmm.
we're still only down 13-0. You never developed a true run game. You never developed a true running attack. And that's on Cliff Kingsbury. He, in my opinion, just his game plan did not make sense to me. Right? You're sitting there, and granted, Tampa's got a good defense, but in
Yeah.
regards to rush defense, Tampa's rush defense, and I took note of this because they made it on the broadcast. See if I can find it. Last in rushing defense in 2022 and in 2023. Right? You
Hmm.
can run against that Tampa Bay D, and we weren't doing it. Right? The Bucs, they lost two of their starting corners. Right? And you really weren't focusing on matchups to get them the ball. You didn't have a wide receiver have positive yards until the third quarter. You
Yeah.
didn't scheme a screen to Terry until well into the third quarter. So Cliff Kingsbury, you got to do better. You got to do a hell of a lot better than you did this week with this game plan, because you put the kid in a bad situation. And maybe part of that doing better was, Jayden pulling that ball down sooner than he needed to on some of those 16 runs, but maybe instead give it to Austin Eckler, who only had 2 carries, and let him do something with the ball versus Jayden not having a chance, because I only saw one play where Jayden called an audible into a quarterback keeper.
I want to ask you a question, and maybe you can answer it. I'm a firm believer, give the ball to let the person who got you down there score the touchdown. Brian Robinson got him down there on a play. Did he get hurt? And that's the reason why they didn't get that. Is that the reason why they didn't hand the ball off to him for like the 2-yard touchdown that Jayden got? Because what I saw was he got him down there, and then Jayden scores a touchdown, but then B-Rob runs off the field or kind of jogs off the field, and he immediately takes a knee, and medical staff is looking at him. So I don't know.
So which touchdown? Are you talking Jayden's first or second touchdown?
I want to say it's the one that Brian Robinson. There's a drive that Brian Robinson got him down there to like maybe the 2, and he dove and thought he got into the end zone, and they said, nope, you didn't get in. So is that the first one?
That's the first touchdown that he had.
Yeah. So that's the first one. But I felt that, hey, he got you down there, reward him, give him the rock. They didn't do it. Jayden, he got in for I think 2 yards, 3 yards, whatever have you. But
it was a 1-yard touchdown run at that point. But I mean, on that play, going back and looking at it, I think it was a zone read. He faked the pitch, the handoff to B-Rob, and they crashed down on top of B. If B would have got that ball, he would have been stopped. Jayden pulled it out of his belly and then ran it in. I mean, it was the right play by Jayden at that point. I don't know if you can see the screen right now, but yeah, the defensive end just cracked down right on top of B-Rob, and B-Rob is lying on the ground after the play on the 6-yard line, and he had to get helped up by 2 of his linemen because he just got nailed. So it was it was the right call for Jayden to pull it out of his belly and keep it at that point. But the other touchdown where Jayden, he basically ran in backwards to the end zone after losing his helmet on the first time. I mean, to me, it's just, I'm seeing a safety coming in, envisioning this down the road, and just hitting him right in the small of his back. And once again, knocking his helmet off. And maybe it's just me being overprotective, Big Papa, not wanting to see it, but the kid's got a small frame. And you can't go through a 17-game season or expect to win. And right now, he's the only reason that people are watching this team, to see what Jayden can do. They're not watching to see, sorry, Terry, they're not watching to see you. Sorry, Mike Sanderson, they're not watching to see you. We're watching to see Jayden, right? We're watching to see, is he the guy? And he's just one hit away from not being that guy for us. And guess who definitely ain't going to be that guy is Marcus Mariota, right? They moved his ass to IR. He's gone for now. And they had to put Jeff Driscoll, and they brought Sam Hartman up. So,
wow.
Yeah, this is something that happened, I think, on Saturday, right? So a lot of fans might not have realized that just because it was over the weekend that happened. And if Mariota came in, I don't want to say the season would have been done, but, not as much to look forward to. I just hope that the kid does a better job protecting himself than he did this week. And I was curious what you were thinking when you're in the stands, seeing him just awkwardly kind of barrel roll down to the ground versus actually sliding.
It's like nails on a chalkboard. You don't want it. And he looked awkward. But this game is going to teach him one way or the other. And I hope that it's for the better. Let me just, and I'll leave it at that. I hope it's for the better. I hope that, hey, look, the coaches talked to him about that chin strap, tightening it up. I understand you got to be able to have jaw movement when you're calling those plays, and maybe that's why he keeps it loose. I don't know, but hey, man, it's not going to get any easier. That's for sure.
No, it's definitely not. I mean, people are going to want to come after his ass, and his average, I want to say his average depth of target was 1.6 yards past the line of scrimmage. Right. I mean, you can't do that. You can't expect that. And we were saying they're not going to show you anything in preseason, right? Okay, well, the games count, right? His average pass was 1.6 yards past the line of scrimmage. It's not going to cut the mustard. He's got to do better than that. And that's on Jayden. I'm looking here. He had one pass that he completed for in between 10 to 20 yards, right? All the other passes were a hell of a lot less than that. And he did the best out of any rookie quarterback this week. He had better stats than Caleb Williams. He had better stats than Bo Nix. But I don't care about those other guys, right? And
I don't care about stats. I care about the wins and losses.
yeah, you know who cared about stats was Dwayne Haskins after that one game.
Yeah.
Right? You know, wins and losses are what matters. And we didn't leave Tampa with a win. I can't give a rally chain for a win. And granted, they're your rally chains, but for you, if someone were to get one, who were to get one for you this week?
Well, I mean, obviously, I got to go with the leading rusher. I mean, that's the only bright spot. I mean, Jay, he with 2 touchdowns and the leading rusher, which by all accords, I won my FanDuel, DraftKings rather, excuse me. I won my bet, him going over 40 yards. So I was able to maybe have 2 victory stakes when that does happen. So I'm happy about that.
Nice. I put a season-long bet in of Jayden over 6 rushing touchdowns. We already got 2. So we just need 4 more.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's going to average 2 a game, then I should have it by the time we go to Arizona. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. But I don't know, man. For me, no one stood out. I mean, I was thinking they were talking about how Mike Sanders shut down Tyreek Hill during practice against the Dolphins, right? I didn't see that this week. I didn't see him shut anybody down. No one on the defense really stood out to me. Okay, no, it was nice that Jamin got a good grade and he did this and that, but you give up 37 points? Nah. I mean, the only person who I would consider giving it to would maybe be Brandon Coleman. Coleman did do a decent job coming in when the fact that you're rotating in with Cornelius Lucas. Big Luke, they gave him an 85.8, and going back and looking at all of Jayden's throws and runs and incompletions, Big Luke actually held his own going up against that Tampa pass rush. So, you know, maybe half of a W for him, looks like a V instead. But who has to run extra gassers in practice for you before this Giants game comes up?
The whole team. They just do. The whole team does. There's no if this is truly going to be a team effort, then the team needs to run.
Yeah, that's just be a little more specific. To me, it's a secondary. It's St. Juice. You know, turn your head around on that first touchdown. I mean, granted, you were there. Could have been easily called for pass interference. You were all over Mike Evans. I mean, you basically could have counted the change in his pocket, considering how close you were to that guy. But St. Juice, you know, Forbes, goes without being said, you were straight trash. I mean, you did not do well at all. I'm going to give Sanders still a little bit of, you know, a pass because he's a rook. But Jeremy Chin, I mean, just the entire secondary. Quan Martin, guys not passing guys off to each other. This was the same problem we had last year with the lack of communication. And it's just, it's like, here we go again, right? It's the same broken record when it comes to this defense and the secondary. And at a certain point, what do you do? Because we don't have a secondary coach that's straight out of high school, right? You got Joe Witt Jr., but these players, man, all of you guys, you made Baker Mayfield look like he just won the Heisman again, just playing us. It's just, you can't do that against freaking Danny Dimes coming into town this week.
No. And apparently he didn't play or something to that effect. I was hearing where he got benched or he didn't play or something to that effect. They brought somebody else in. So, but
let me go back and take a look at the Giants because I was going to go back and watch the film. No, he played. No,
I thought he got benched.
No, he's the only quarterback that played for them. So he was 22 of 42. He got a 57 passing grade. So we'll go back and take a look at it. I did see a report of Daniel Jones is going to be starting against the Commanders. So I'm guessing he did so bad that there were questions of should he play this week. But no, he was out there.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we've got another week to get it right. And I'm hoping that we do. I really am. All we can do is put one foot in front of the other and walk it out until next week. I hear the music playing in the background, and as you know, we're bringing another episode of the DMV Mess Hall to a close. Thank you guys for riding with us and listening. We'll see you in a couple days. Remember, you rep it hard, but you don't rep it at all. Tailgate Ted, Rally Captain. We're gone.